November 1993. Outside Royal Brompton Hospital in London, freezing rain hammering the pavement. A man collapses. Security rushes over. Third time this week they've dealt with him. His coat falls open. Something rolls toward the gutter. A tarnished military medal catching the streetlight. Diana's car pulls up for a scheduled charity visit. She sees the commotion through the window. Her brother served. She recognizes that medal type instantly. Security waves her past. "Ma'am, he's not stable." She ignores them, steps out in a 3,000-pound dress, kneels beside him on wet concrete, picks up the medal with gloved hands, whispers something. The man stops shaking. Security frozen, stunned. Nurses gathering at hospital windows. Nobody moves. "She's not supposed to touch them," one guard mutters, but she doesn't stand. She stays there, holding that medal. And what she learns in the next 2 hours will change everything. Late 1993, and Diana's public image is at its peak. The People's Princess, they call her. Every magazine cover, every charity gala, every hospital visit, photographed and analyzed. But what nobody sees are the solo trips, the ones without security. The hospitals she visits at dawn, before the press wakes up. Royal Brompton in Chelsea becomes one of her regular stops, a heart and lung hospital that also treats veterans with severe PTSD. Staff notice a pattern. She doesn't ask about the high-profile patients, she asks about the forgotten ones. "Who comes here that nobody else sees?" she'll say. Keep one letter in her coat pocket, folded and refolded until the creases are permanent. And there's this medal. A veteran left it at the reception desk weeks ago, refused treatment, walked back out. The receptionist kept it in a drawer. Distinguished Service Medal, 1982, Falklands War. The veteran's name was on a scrap of paper underneath, James Hewitt. But here's the thing nobody understands yet. This isn't random. This veteran isn't just another homeless man outside a hospital. He's waiting for someone specific. And he's been waiting for months. By early November, hospital security knows him by name. James, age 52, Falklands survivor. Shows up every morning at 5 a.m., sits on the same stretch of pavement outside the main entrance, leaves at noon. Staff tried everything: social workers, police, shelter referrals. He's polite, never causes trouble, never asks for anything. Except one thing, repeated to every staff member who stops. "I need to see her." Won't explain who her is. Won't elaborate. Just sits there with that medal pinned to his worn coat, polishing it with a cloth every morning like it's a ritual. The medal itself tells a story. Distinguished Service Medal, earned in 1982 during the Falklands conflict. You don't get that for showing up. You get it for saving lives under fire. Security stopped trying to move him after the first month. "He's not hurting anyone," the head guard said. "Let him sit." And so there's this spot on the pavement now, worn smooth over 7 months of waiting. If you look close, you can see the outline where he sits every day. Same position, same ritual, same medal catching the morning light. But what's he waiting for? Nobody knows. Not yet. The letter arrives at Kensington Palace on a Tuesday morning. Handwritten, careful script. It's from a woman named Sarah Mitchell, a nurse at St. Thomas's Hospital across the city. Diana doesn't know her. The letter is about Sarah's brother, saved 12 men during the Falklands War, decorated hero, came home broken. PTSD they didn't have a name for yet. Lost everything: job, marriage, home. Refused every government program, every veteran assistance offer. For 11 years he's been invisible, but now, according to his sister, He's camping outside Royal Brompton Hospital every single day. He won't say why, the letter explains, but he's waiting for you. Diana reads it 3 times, studies every word. This is the same week as her time and space speech, her public announcement about stepping back from some royal duties. The press is circling. Her marriage to Charles is shattered. She's exhausted. But she folds this letter, places it in her coat pocket, and makes a decision. No staff, no security, no press. She'll go alone. Because here's what the letter mentions at the end, almost as an afterthought. He says Johnny knew. Johnny, her father, Earl Spencer, who died in March 1992, barely 18 months ago. The grief is still raw. And now this veteran claims her father knew something important enough to wait 7 months on cold pavement to tell her. Diana starts calling veteran hospitals privately the next day using a different name, asks careful questions, learns the full pattern. James Hewitt appears at Royal Brompton Hospital every morning at dawn. 7 months straight, no gaps. Staff describe him as polite, quiet, never asks for anything except to see her. But there's this detail nobody can explain. He polishes that metal every single morning with a small cloth, then sits and watches the entrance. Not begging, not seeking help, just watching. And here's what Diana discovers when she cross-references her own schedule. Every single day James shows up coincides with a day she's scheduled for charity work nearby. Hospital visits, youth centers, AIDS clinics. He's not randomly waiting. He's tracking her movements, trying to intersect with her route. But her security sweeps always miss him. They clear the hospital entrances before she arrives, push homeless people back, create sterile pathways. So he's been sitting there for 7 months, just outside the security perimeter, waiting for the one day she arrives early or stays late. Waiting for that 5-minute gap. You think you know where this is going. You don't. Because what Diana doesn't know yet is what James saw in 1982, what her father said to him in a military hospital recovery room after the Falklands. The sentence that's kept him alive for 11 years. The promise that made him refuse all help until he could deliver one message directly to Earl Spencer's daughter. Diana plans it carefully, a spontaneous hospital visit. No advance notice to staff, which means no security sweep. She arrives at Royal Brompton on a cold November morning earlier than usual. The veteran is there, but so is a documentary crew. They're filming a piece about London's homeless veterans. James is surrounded by cameras, boom mics, the whole setup. A producer is asking him questions. He shows them the metal, but refuses to speak. Just holds it up for the camera, then sits back down. Diana watches from her car across the street, engine off, windows fogged. She can't approach now. Any movement would create a scene. Princess Diana suddenly appearing would derail the documentary, bring more press, turn this into a circus. So she waits, watches him through the rain-streaked window. The crew packs up after 20 minutes. James sits quietly, alone again, metal back in his hand. And Diana realizes something watching him. He's not begging. This isn't about money or shelter or help. He's keeping vigil, like a guard standing post, waiting for one specific person, refusing all substitutes. She drives away that morning without approaching, but she's made a decision. She'll come back tomorrow, earlier, before anyone else arrives. Because whatever James Hewitt needs to tell her about her father, whatever sentence is important enough to wait 7 months on cold pavement, she needs to hear it. That night, a nurse from Royal Brompton calls Diana's private line. Night shift. Name is Claire Robbins. Been working at the hospital for 6 years. I thought you should know, Claire says. He leaves notes for you. Diana sits up. Notes? Every single day, James drops a folded piece of paper at reception before he leaves at noon. The staff kept them all. 47 notes over 7 months. Same message every time, handwritten in careful script. Tell her I was here. Tell her Johnny knew. Johnny, her father's nickname, the name only family and close friends used. Diana drives to the hospital that same night, 11 p.m. Reception is nearly empty. Claire brings out a box. 47 folded notes, all identical. The handwriting is steady, deliberate. And there's this one detail that breaks her. Each note has the date at the top and a small mark at the bottom, a sketch of the medal. Like he's signing each one with the only thing that proves who he is. Diana asks to see security footage. They pull up weeks of recordings. Every morning, same routine. James arrives at dawn, sits down, polishes the medal, waits. At noon exactly, he stands, walks inside, drops a note at reception, walks back out. Never asks if Diana has seen them, never asks for confirmation, just leaves the note and returns to his post. Tell her Johnny knew. Diana reads the notes again. March 1992. That's when her father died. 14 years after he visited that military hospital in 1982. Whatever her father knew, whatever he told this veteran, it's waited long enough. She's going tomorrow, alone. No security, no press, just her and this man who's been sitting on cold pavement, holding a promise. Diana spends the next morning researching palace archives, military records. Earl Spencer did visit a Falklands recovery unit in 1982. Not an official visit, there are no press photos, no public itinerary. But there's a hospital log from RAF Bryce Norton Medical Facility, dated July 1982. Her father's signature at the bottom. He spent 2 hours there. One of the patients was James Hewitt, 21 years old at the time, on suicide watch after severe combat trauma. Against protocol, Earl Spencer asked to speak with him privately. What her father said in that room isn't documented, but here's what the nursing staff noted. Afterward, James was stable, calm. He pinned his Distinguished Service Medal back on his chest. He'd torn it off 3 days earlier and thrown it across the room. The lead psychiatrist wrote in the file, "Patient shows marked improvement after visit from Earl Spencer. Reason unknown." And here's the medal detail that makes Diana's hands shake reading this. The report notes that Earl Spencer personally pinned the medal back onto James's hospital gown. Bent down, hands trembling, he was 58 years old then, not in great health, and fixed the pin through the fabric. Then he said something. The nurse who witnessed it recorded one sentence in the margin of the report, not part of the official notes. "My daughter will remember men like you." Earl Spencer died in March 1992, 10 years later. According to the sister's letter, James started his vigil at Royal Brompton that same month. Not immediately, he waited, processed, grieved probably. But by summer 1992, he was sitting on that pavement outside the hospital where Diana did frequent charity visits, waiting to deliver the message. Waiting to tell her what her father promised, that she would remember. And for 7 months, security has swept him aside before she could. November morning, 5:30 a.m. Diana arrives at Royal Brompton, alone. Told one trusted aide where she's going, nobody else. Drives herself. No security detail, no advance team. The veteran is already there. Medal pinned to his worn coat, freshly polished despite the early hour. She parks across the street, turns off the engine, sits for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. Then she gets out, walks across the street on foot. No cameras, no witnesses, except the night security guard inside the hospital who spots her through the glass and freezes. James sees her approaching, recognizes her instantly. After 7 months of waiting, watching photos, memorizing her face. He tries to stand. Diana raises one hand gently. No, stay. She walks up to him, looks down at the medal on his chest. "My father told me about you," she says. First words, direct, no preamble. James stares at her. This is the first time in 7 months, in 11 years actually, since that hospital room in 1982, that anyone has acknowledged his story, not questioned it, not dismissed it, just acknowledged it as fact. "He told you?" James's voice is rough, unused. Diana shakes her head. "I found the records. I read what happened." She sits down beside him on the pavement, right there. Princess Diana, in a simple coat, sitting on cold concrete outside a hospital at dawn. Security guard inside is watching, phone in hand, not sure what to do. Other staff starting to arrive for morning shifts, stopping, staring. She holds out her hand. James, shaking slightly, places the medal in her palm. "He pinned this on you," Diana says quietly. It's not a question. They sit there for 2 hours. Nurses gather at hospital windows on the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, watching. 40 staff members, maybe more, pressed against glass. James tells her everything. How her father walked into that recovery room in 1982. How James had been in that room for 3 days, refusing to speak, refusing food. Survivor's guilt mixed with combat trauma. 12 men lived because of his actions, but 3 men died. He couldn't process the math. Kept replaying the moments, wondering if different choices would have saved all 15. Earl Spencer sat with him, didn't offer platitudes, didn't thank him for his service, just listened. For an hour he listened. Then he said one sentence, the sentence James has carried for 11 years, the sentence that kept him alive through homelessness and addiction and despair. Being broken doesn't mean being worthless. Diana is crying now, silent tears. "He never told me," she says. "He never told any of us." James nods slowly. "He said you'd find out when you needed to." And here's the moment that breaks both of them. James reaches into his coat pocket, pulls out a small piece of paper. Folded. Old. The edges are frayed from being carried for over a decade. He unfolds it carefully. It's a note in her father's handwriting. The hospital letterhead from 1982 is still visible at the top. 7 words. "Tell Diana I kept my word. Johnny." James hands it to her. "He gave me this before he left. Said to give it to you someday. I didn't know when, but after he died, I knew." Diana holds the note, her father's handwriting. The familiar loops, the way he signed Johnny with that slight flourish. She holds it and holds the medal, and James holds her hand. 2 people on pavement, princess and veteran, equals. Hospital staff can't help themselves. Coffee appears, blankets. Senior doctor steps outside, ready to intervene. Diana waves him back gently. Not yet. She calls the veteran by name for the first time. "James." He smiles, first real smile in months, maybe years. First time anyone said it in years, he admits. They talk about what happens next. Diana has influence, can arrange private room, full medical team, complete care. All discreet, no press. But James asks something unexpected. Can I come back tomorrow instead? Diana understands immediately. This spot means something now. It's not just pavement anymore. It's where he kept his promise, where he delivered the message. It's sacred in a way that can't be replaced by a clean hospital room. She nods. Tomorrow then, 5 a.m. I'll bring coffee. They make an agreement. One more morning together. Then he'll accept help. But on his terms, not as charity, as acknowledgement, recognition. The thing he's been waiting for all along, not rescue, but being seen, being remembered, the way her father promised. Diana stands, security finally exhales, but James stays seated a moment longer, looking at the medal she's handed back to him. It catches the morning light, same as it has for 7 months. But everything's different now. The vigil is over, the promise is kept. And what happens next will ripple through that hospital in ways nobody expects. Diana returns the next morning at 5 a.m., brings coffee herself, 2 cups, both hot, both black. James is waiting, medal polished again. They talk for 4 hours this time, about the Falklands, about Johnny, about pain and purpose. She doesn't offer money, offers time. Promises, I'll make sure they know. By 9 a.m., James agrees to enter the hospital, voluntarily, for treatment, for healing. As he walks toward the entrance, he tries to give her the medal one final time. He'd want you to have it. Diana refuses gently. Keep it. Earn it again by healing. He nods, understands. Nurses are watching from windows, dozens of them now. Many are crying. They've seen this man sit outside for 7 months, watched security try to move him, watched him refuse help, watched him wait with quiet dignity. And now they're watching Princess Diana walk him through the doors herself, hand on his shoulder. No cameras, no announcement. Just one human being acknowledging another. The moment he walks through those doors, something shifts in that hospital. Immediately. Staff start talking about dignity, about recognition, about what it means to actually see someone. Within days, Royal Brompton creates a new protocol, unofficially called Dignity First, for homeless veterans. No more security sweeps before royal visits. No more pushing people aside to create sterile pathways. Instead, ask names, offer coffee, recognize. Diana visits weekly after that. No press, no protocol, just shows up, brings coffee, sits with James and the other veterans who start appearing. Word spreads quietly through London's homeless veteran community. Brompton is different now. They remember you there. James becomes a patient advocate, helps others navigate the system, translates between medical staff and men who've lost trust in institutions. The medal gets displayed in a small case near reception, not as decoration, but as reminder. Small plaque underneath, in honor of those who wait. 3 months later, December 1993, Diana gives her BBC Panorama interview, the one that explodes across headlines. There were 3 of us in this marriage, she says, about Charles and Camilla. But there's another line in that interview that most people miss. The most important work is what nobody photographs. Hospital staff know she means James, know she means the mornings at Brompton, the veterans nobody else sees. But she doesn't elaborate, keeps it private. Her father's legacy isn't titles or estates. It's this: making broken men feel worthwhile. Teaching his daughter, without words, that recognition heals. That sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply acknowledging they exist. James stays at Brompton for 3 months of treatment, leaves with housing secured, therapy ongoing. But he comes back every week, not as patient, as volunteer. Sits outside sometimes in his old spot, talks to new veterans who show up, shows them the medal, tells them, "Someone will see you, just wait." Years later, after Diana's death in August 1997, Royal Brompton holds a memorial service. James attends in full dress uniform, medal pinned to chest, polished until it gleams. He tells the story publicly for the first time, about Earl Spencer in 1982, about the promise, about the 7 months waiting, about the morning Diana sat beside him on cold pavement and kept her father's word. Nurses remember that morning still. Many are crying now, remembering. She treated him like her father would have, one says, like dignity mattered more than protocol. The medal stays at Brompton. James donates it to the hospital memorial wall a year after Diana's death. Can't carry it anymore, too heavy now, weighted with everything it represents. But it belongs there, where the promise was kept. Small inscription added to the display plaque, James's words, "Time is the greatest gift. Earl Spencer to James Hewitt, 1982. And underneath, added later, "She gave him back his name. That's what princesses should do." The medal hangs there still. Visitors walk past it daily, most not knowing the story. But hospital staff know, veterans who come through know. It's not about the medal itself anymore. It's about what it represents. Recognition, acknowledgement, being seen. The pavement outside the entrance was eventually replaced during renovations. But people say if you look closely at the new concrete, there's a small brass marker embedded where James used to sit. No inscription, just a mark. But those who know, know. The vigil ended. The promise was kept. And the lesson? Some things are worth waiting for, even if it takes 7 months, even if it takes 11 years. Some promises transcend death.